What is up, everybody? It's J Raj here, and this is the 2020 Visions podcast. I've been kind of taking a little break for the past couple weeks on recording for this because I was finishing up my bachelor's degree and we got it done. So now I can focus more on the pod and just my little projects that I'm going to be going after and getting done. But yeah, today we got a nice episode where I'm going to be talking about a few things I've noticed about the MCU regarding past movies in the future. We're going to be talking a little bit in specific about the Mutant Saga and kind of my hopes for it. We're going to be talking about a little bit of wrestling stuff as far as expectations for Wrestlemania for a couple of matches and rivalries. And then to finish it up, we're going to be doing a comic book overview as usual. And that's going to be featuring Wolverine versus Spiderman, which was a really fun read for me. So I can't wait for you to get to follow along with that with me. So to dive into this thing, I just wanted to mention the Super Bowl was a little over a week ago, and as a Marvel fan, I was really hoping for something. I was hoping they'd release a new Doomsday trailer or maybe even the Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer. There were reports supposedly that they were going to do Spider-Man Brand New Day, then I heard they weren't because of the budget, and it's like $7 million for a 30-second ad. So it was a back and forth thing. But the week of the Super Bowl, they did drop, not on Super Bowl day, but during the week, the Spiderman Noir trailer that's going to be on Amazon Prime Video. And that excites me a ton after seeing that trailer, seeing the web swinging, knowing that it's, focusing on Ben Riley. I think it's something I can get my wife to potentially watch with me because it's kind of its own new, fresh thing. It's not like you have to have a ton of memory about all kind of past projects, so that's going to be epic to see. Since last time I was on here, I did watch the Wonderman series, and I gotta take it back. I was cutting it a little slack, their lack of advertising before it released, but that was a pleasant surprise, and I really enjoyed the dynamic between Wonderman and the fake Mandarin, Trevor Slattery, I think is his name. They had such a good dynamic, and it was a fun watch for sure. I highly recommend it. But yeah, I highly recommend Wonderman. And another thing is they had dropped the Daredevil Born Again Season 2 trailer like the week before the Super Bowl, or maybe 2 weeks before. And I just wanted to dive into that a little bit because since that was released, there's actually been some rumors, and these rumors kind of confirm a theory that I had on one of my podcast episodes over a month ago. It was I think it's episode 4. It's where I'm talking about the Punisher special. And anyway, I ended up bringing up the fact that during Secret Wars, when a bunch of the heroes are gone to Battle World, a lot of the street level villains and thugs, they're going to consider it like a business opportunity. They're just going to be trying to take over. So anyway, I had mentioned that theory, and I had said that the Defenders probably will have to step up with Daredevil. And but anyway, since that season 2 trailer dropped, there's reports that there's going to be a Spider-Man and Daredevil team up movie in the future, and that the Defenders are going to be involved with that. So that gets me hyped, but I hope it's true. And I hope Daredevil's in Spider-Man Brand New Day. But we're going to see. Since they didn't really release any kind of like MCU trailers, I decided I was going to do a little homework and kind of catch up on a couple things that I haven't watched that the MCU has released over the years. I decided to watch Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness for the first time. I also started watching Shang-Chi. I haven't finished it yet, but talking about Multiverse of Madness, it brings up the topic of the fact that a lot of fans, when they hear about Doctor Doom being the new villain in these next Avengers movies, they're like, oh, that wasn't Marvel's original plan, It was supposed to be Kang with Jonathan Majors, and I get it. I get that. They were planning on going with Kang for being the big bad guy. But, things happen. But I want to show y'all something that makes me think that Doctor Doom was in the plans all along. Maybe not to show as much as Kang, but he was in the plans all along. So as I was watching Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, it shows Wanda or the Scarlet Witch going up to Mount Wangador to get the actual Darkhold book that has all the dark magic secrets. Whoever holds the Darkhold has insanely powerful magic, but it's very evil. And anybody who gets this book and uses the things in it, even afterward, it still affects them and they're still influenced by its evil. So, as the Scarlet Witch is going up to Mount Wangador to be able to get the Darkhold in order to use its powers and be able to get to her kids in another dimension again, um, it shows some statues around Mount Wangador, if I'm pronouncing that right, and it proceeds to show this. Now, tell me that's not Doctor Doom. Like, I saw that and I was like, And I don't know what year this movie came out, to be honest. So I'm about to figure that out. Because what if this was already on there before Jonathan Majors got fired? When did Jonathan Majors get fired from Marvel? Okay. Jonathan Majors got fired in 2023. This movie was released in 2022. So, all right. I just wanted to tell y'all that they've had Doctor Doom in the plans all along. And in the comics, Doctor Doom does go after the Darkhold. And he uses its powers. And like I said, even people who don't have the Darkhold anymore, they're still affected by the evil of the powers. And, Doctor Doom, he has more than just good armor. He is like, does magic, like a lot of magical stuff comparable to Doctor Strange. At one point, Doctor Doom was the Sorcerer Supreme. So I think that the Doctor Doom in the MCU's future movies is going to be wielding some dark magic. And on the Avengers Doomsday Countdown, they do have like these around the symbol. It's got these magic rune symbols. I think that's what they're called. Which all those symbols are all over Mount Wangador. So, I mean, I think Doctor Doom's going to be using some dark magic. But yeah, another thing regarding the MCU in the future that I wanted to talk about has to do with the X-Men Mutant Saga. So we know after the Avengers movies, after Secret Wars, they're going to be shifting to focus on the mutants. And I'm super excited about this. And it makes you wonder a few things. For me personally, I look at the way they handled the Avengers. They would release Avengers movies about every 4 or 5 years. And then they'd have a few solo projects in between. Guardians of the Galaxy, Thor, Iron Man, Cap, that kind of thing. So if they're using that same kind of layout, we can expect that there's maybe going to be X-Men releases every 4 or 5 years with the title X-Men. But in between, I would like to think that there's going to be some solo projects focusing on certain mutants that will end up getting tied into the X-Men. And also, I mean, even during the Avengers movies, like during those phases of Marvel, they had other characters that weren't technically Avengers that would help the Avengers. So I think that in between some of the X-Men releases, they could do solo projects focusing on certain mutants. They could do the Daredevil and the Spider-Man team-up movie. And also Spider-Man, he goes through times where he has to go to the X-Men for help when he starts losing control of his powers and basically turns into a spider, which they show that on the animated series back from the 90s. And Daredevil, I'm sure he's going to kind of play a role in this as a lawyer who can help the X-Men get treated fairly by the public, because some people, they try to not treat them like they're human. They try to dehumanize them, and I think Daredevil can be one of the people who stands up for the mutants in court. That'd be cool to see. But also, there is rumors about an X Factor movie that Ryan Reynolds is working on, which maybe that would feature like him and Cable again. I'd like to see X-23 in there. Let's see. I don't know. There can be some others, maybe Colossus. That'd be cool to see. So I'm thinking they might focus on other teams other than the X-Men. Could they do a movie about the Brotherhood of Mutants, showing Magneto's rise with the Brotherhood? I do think that they're going to do more Fantastic Four movies, of course. Maybe along the way, Nova's going to get involved with that. And, just more cosmic storylines come up. I don't know. I was just brainstorming about it, but one thing I do know is the X-Men movies from the past, they're fun watches. They're not the best, but they're not the worst either. But one thing I think they did wrong was they weren't vibrant enough, and they maybe took themselves a little too seriously at times. I mean, one thing about the X-Men animated series from the 90s is just how fun it was, and they give them their comic book accurate suits. The yellow, the blue, like very vibrant. So that's something I want for the future X-Men movies, is to dive into that and kind of like the quirkiness of it too. I guess that's the right word. It's a little quirky at times. And projects that I think can relate to that kind of is how the Guardians of the Galaxy was handled. I mean, those are fun. They get serious when they need to, but at the same time, it's a team of all kind of different personalities all together, So that's my mindset on that. But the lineup that I personally would like to see them definitely introduce and do justice for would be Gambit, Rogue, Bishop, Storm, Cyclops, Jean Grey, Beast, and Nightcrawler. I mean, if you get Rogue and Nightcrawler, that'd be cool for them to figure out their half brother and sister. Get Mystique involved in there. Gotta have Cyclops and Jean in there. Bishop, I think he's not been done justice on the big screen. I mean, they briefly shown him in like one movie, so I'd love for him to get more attention. Storm, I think it would be cool for her to end up meeting T'Challa, and that could connect like to the wider MCU. And another one that I want to see is actually Dazzler. So Dazzler, she sings like she's a professional musician, and when she's singing, her powers put on like a crazy light show. So with me talking about Wonderman earlier, Wonderman focuses on, a superpowered person trying to make it in the acting entertainment industry, trying to land roles for movies. If Dazzler was introduced, I think that she could be shown trying to make it in the music industry while maybe trying to keep it a secret that she's a mutant. Maybe have people convinced that the lights that show up are actually just lights that are from equipment instead of her powers. And then maybe Department of Damage Control figures out that she's a mutant, goes after her, in a similar kind of setup to how Wonder Man was. I think that'd be kind of cool. Maybe they do a show for Dazzler similar to Wonder Man. I think it'd be a cool idea. Let the Raj cook. Come on now. And as far as the villains, I mean, they always lean into the government aspect of it, like the creation of the Sentinels, and like that's classic X-Men storytelling. But there are some quirky X-Men villains like Mojo. There's a lot of people that would, I think, itch to see Mojo on live action. And, maybe they could get caught in the Mojo verse. And that's going to be vibrant. That would add that vibrant vibe to the X-Men. And maybe have Spiral in there with waving her arms and her swords and crap. Just show them having to figure out a way to escape the Mojo verse. That would be a good, fun introduction for the X-Men. And then along the way, they can introduce Emma Frost, which she goes good and she goes bad sometimes. And I think she can play a similar role in the Mutant Saga that Loki played. He helps out at times and he turns on the Avengers at times. I think that Emma Frost could play a role like that. And then there's also, and I think this is a little underrated as far as X-Men stuff goes, the Phalanx, and sending the techno-organic virus, I'm pretty sure is what it's called. It's similar to like a symbiote, and it's just, I think that could be a cool dynamic to see on screen. And then I think the big bad at the end can be Mr. Sinister. And here's the thing. I believe that Marvel, they show what their future plans are for the live action movies. They show hints of that in their animated shows. So, I mean, we saw Gambit in X-Men 97. Saw him in Rogue. He ends up dying. Everybody's like, oh, Gambit's gone. Then he appears in Deadpool and Wolverine. Spider-Man, Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, that show, it shows Scorpion. He almost ends up killing Spider-Man. It shows Tombstone, and those are both confirmed for the new Spider-Man movie. So anyway, I guess what I'm saying is they've already shown Mojo and they've shown Mr. Sinister in X-Men 97. So I think that they will be introduced into the live action movies and be some of the main villains. But yeah, that's kind of what my hopes are for the Mutant Saga. Now we're going to move on to some WWE stuff because now the road to Wrestlemania has started. And since I've been gone for the last couple weeks, the Royal Rumble did happen. But I made an in-depth review that I posted on my YouTube talking about my thoughts of the Rumble. And I can just kind of give you a short version real quick. I thought the Women's Rumble was great. They take the risk, like showing their young talent, like Sol Ruka and Lash Legend. The guys' Royal Rumble, I feel like they have a problem with playing it safe. The last 5 guys, except for Logan Paul, that were left in the ring, they were all pushing 40 or above 40, and none of them truly needed to have a Royal Rumble win for their career. Like, they were all very established, and I feel like the Royal Rumble should serve a purpose of elevating like someone from the mid card into the main event. And I don't know, part of me wishes that they wouldn't play it safe as much with the men's division. And I wasn't a fan of how Brock Lesnar, he was just no-selling Ilya Dragunov, and he easily threw out Rey Fenix, making some of them guys that should look a little stronger, he just was making them look weak. All for him just to get eliminated by a clothesline while Jey Uso was yeeting. I was like, what the world? So I don't know what was up with that. But the Monday Night Raw after the Rumble was very entertaining, and it revealed that Roman Reigns is choosing CM Punk to face in the main event of WrestleMania. And their promo, that was some heat. And I love the fact that it is just motivated by their hatred towards each other. It's not like when Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes was facing. Cody Rhodes always had this to fall back on. I have to finish my story. Like, okay. But anyway, this is different. This is motivated by their hatred towards each other. CM Punk and Roman don't like each other. Roman, he brought up how CM Punk mocked him after War Games. CM Punk mentioned to Roman that his he owes CM Punk for his whole career because CM Punk's the one that brought the Shield out to begin with when they attacked Ryback and made their debut. So CM Punk is like, oh, I'm the whole reason you're even in the WWE. Then Roman Reigns is like, well, I'm the reason that they ever brought you back to the WWE. He's like, who do you think they came to see if it was okay? They came to me. You wouldn't be here if it wasn't for me. It was intense. So I'm excited to see what they got. Their promos are always some heat, and it's going to be real entertaining to see. Also, something I wanted to talk about is there's some rumors that I've seen I've seen a lot of posts about this. Supposedly as of the end of January, it was written down that Brock Lesnar and LA Knight are supposed to face at WrestleMania. And me personally, I'm liking that. Because, I mean, LA Knight's been going after the Vision, but now we've figured out that Braun Breaker done injured himself trying to deadlift. So that kind of ruined the motivation. I mean, the momentum for that storyline. Now LA Knight, I mean, he already showed he can easily take out Bronson Reed and Logan Paul and Austin Theory. He did all that in the Rumble. I think Paul Heyman's going to bring in Brock Lesnar as a stand-in when Braun Breaker's gone. And LA Knight, he ain't just going to stop going after the Vision just because Braun Breaker's gone. If Brock Lesnar was to be the new face of the Vision, none of the members of the Vision are going to stand up to him. And even if they try, they're going to get squashed. But let me talk to you about somebody named LA Knight. Yeah. He's had momentum behind him for years, and WWE has yet to capitalize on it and give him a win over somebody real major. And this would give the perfect opportunity for LA Knight to finally get something he's been going after. I mean, it doesn't need a title match. It doesn't need to be a title match. Like, anybody who has a match against Brock Lesnar and wins, it's going to do some wonders for their career. So I really hope that these reports are true, that LA Knight and Brock are going to face off. And I will say, like, when my YouTube channel was only gaming, probably 3 years ago, I posted a tournament video of me playing as LA Knight, and I faced Brock Lesnar. And when LA Knight was like an 80 overall. Like, he was an 80 overall, and I ended up beating Brock on legend difficulty. And I was like, yeah, dummy, yeah. Like, it was funny. I was going crazy. I was getting hype on there. So, for years, I've thought it'd be cool to see this matchup. And, yeah, we'll just have to see. The road to WrestleMania keeps going, baby. And it's going to get some more clarity over the next few weeks, I'm sure. But it gets me excited. But with that being said, though, we're going to wrap this thing up with a nice comic book overview of Spider-Man versus Wolverine. I just got done reading this today, actually, and it was a really fun read. It starts out showing Wolverine helping someone that he says is a dear friend named Charlie, who was an intelligence agent that was basically going after some of the Soviets. Wolverine and Charlie were close, had a good bond, and shows the last time that they saw each other. And then it goes into saying how Wolverine protected Charlie going berserker rage on a bunch of Soviet agents, and he did it all with a smile. And it's a real ugly scene from the way they portray it. Imagine that dude coming at you with the calls, smiling, enjoying every slice. It's like me with Papa's Pizza. But anyway. Then it shows Spider-Man. This is kind of shortly after the Secret Wars storyline from the 80s. He's got the black suit, shows him swinging through the city. And he proceeds to talk about how he honestly is more focused on making money from doing his photography, and that's more what motivates him to even put the suit on, because he knows that J. Jonah Jameson is going to buy them pictures. So it ends up showing, and I'm going to move my, oh shoot, 1 second. It ends up showing right here. I'm making a mess of this. All right, we ain't going to mess with it. There ends up being a shooter over in New York, and Spidey, he's late to the scene, and he doesn't end up figuring out who it was. Well, he gets another call from this restaurant. Like he hears that at this restaurant there's a shooting, and he's assuming it's the same shooter. He rolls up in there, and it shows the owners that Peter was close with had been shot and killed, and he got there late. But it kind of takes a dark twist because it shows that he's wrestling in his mind about whether he wants to take pictures of their bodies to sell to J. Jonah Jameson. That's the state of mind he's in. The black suit is affecting him real bad. And sure enough, he takes the pictures, and he ends up, selling them to J. Jonah Jameson. And he does feel like kind of guilty for getting there too late. But then it shows that Peter and Mary Jane had went to a movie together, and he makes it a point to say, Mary Jane isn't my girlfriend. I don't have a girlfriend. And he does say, if I tell myself that enough times, maybe I'll start to believe it. So that Peter's living a little on the edge lately. That suit's been affecting him. It shows him swinging in because there's more shootings going on. And he just keeps being too late. It's like he's trying to figure out what his priorities are, and he ends up hesitating and being too late. Which, him hesitating has a lot to do with this story. So, he's heartbroken because he was too late. More people died, and he kind of blames himself. He goes to confide in Mary Jane, and he ends up kissing her. And then he immediately starts saying how this was a mistake, that he just broke his word to her that they are just friends. And he leaves immediately. He's like, oh crap, like this goes against what I've been telling her, that we're not friends. I mean, that we're not more than friends. So the kiss happened. He's regretting it. Anyway, it goes to show J. Jonah Jameson has an assignment for Peter, because Peter's been on a roll with his photography. And J. Jonah Jameson sends Ned Leeds and Peter to Germany to go try to find pictures of a criminal that they're calling Charlie, which is familiar because that's who Wolverine was close friends with at the beginning of this comic. So they go to Germany, and Wolverine's walking around, and he kind of gets a scent, and he recognizes the scent and realizes that Spider-Man is in Germany. And he goes on and ends up confronting him, telling him that he needs to go home and stay out of his way. He tries to get Peter to leave Germany, but Peter chooses to still follow him around. And Wolverine don't like that, by the way. But it proceeds to show that Peter kind of makes up his mind that he is going to go home. And as he goes back to his hotel room, you see this. Somebody has killed Ned Leeds. And the agents are actually still in there. And Peter freezes up, but then Wolverine busts through the window and starts attacking all the Soviet soldiers. And Peter is petrified because he's seeing Wolverine going berserk on these dudes. And we know Peter's a Boy Scout, which Logan or Wolverine, whatever you want to call him, he's the exact opposite. He is not no Boy Scout. He kind of takes pleasure in hurting these guys. And Peter, that goes against his moral compass. He left the black suit at home. He decided not to bring it with him, so he's on full Boy Scout mode right now. And then it shows he's having an internal conflict. Should I leave? Should I stay? But then he's like, I must remember what Uncle Ben told me. With great power comes great responsibility. Yeah. And it shows him going to a shop that sells clothes, and he figures out the owner's son is a Spider-Man fan, and he has like a replica of a Spider-Man suit. So Spider-Man starts zipping around in this replica suit, trying to find his way back to Wolverine so he can try to figure out what the heck's going on and possibly help. And it shows him having to jump over the Berlin Wall. A bunch of soldiers start shooting at him. And this note gets left because Spider-Man had put a tracker on Wolverine, and he goes to the signal, walks in this room, and this note with the tracker is left. It says, "You're in my way." Or wait, crap, I screwed that up. He's like, "You're in way over your head, bub. Go home." That's my impersonation. That was bad. So Wolverine knew the tracker was on him. He keeps telling him, "Go home, stay out of my way." And it shows Wolverine finally finding Charlie again, because he had got the gist that Charlie was in trouble again. And here's where the twist is. Well, a twist of this. The next panel shows that Charlie is actually a woman. She's been disguised as a guy. Her real name is Charlemagne, and her and Wolverine had a little bit of some loving going on in the past. And it shows them smooching. And then Charlemagne, or Charlie, takes Wolverine to her mansion. And he's like, "Oh, I'm not going to leave by your side." And he takes her upstairs, and they just spending some quality time together. And it proceeds to show them having this big old dinner at somewhere real expensive. But Wolverine figures out that the fruit is actually poisoned. The agents are after Charlie, and the reason that Charlie has been Wolverine's been able to find her is because she's been leaving a trail of bodies. She's actually the one that did the crimes in New York, killing those people that Spider-Man was feeling guilty about. Because turns out all of those were secret Soviet agents posed as just normal people. And they all have a hit on her. So she's trying to kill them before they can get to her. So Wolverine had followed the trail of bodies, and that's how he gets to her. And right now he's figuring out that the fruit is poisoned. And she had already got the sense that there were some agents in the room at where they're eating at as well. Next thing you know, Wolverine does his little face palm because Spider-Man busts in. He's the little insect that won't go away. A bunch of shots start getting fired by all the agents, and they proceed to fight them off together, throwing them out the windows, just fighting. But Spider-Man makes it a point to keep saying how Wolverine's too vicious, that he takes pleasure in hurting all these guys, which is not how it's supposed to be, according to Spider-Man, like his moral compass. And Spider-Man, he starts talking about how he's having to hold back when he's fighting these people because he doesn't want to accidentally kill anyone. But in the process, Wolverine, he's just going ham on all the guys, doing the exact opposite. And so Spider-Man, he's getting mad. He's like, "What am I doing here? Why am I with this ruthless killer?" So here he is again, saying, "Oh, I'm going to leave." He's being a little wimp. So Spider-Man says once again that he's leaving. He's not going to be part of this. And it shows them kind of walking away from each other, arguing. And Wolverine right here, he says, "Don't push me, bub." But anyway, Wolverine, as the fight was going on, he had noticed that Charlie, or Charlemagne, had slipped away. And he's able to figure out using his scent. Like, he catches the scent and figures out where she's at. She's at this Soviet cemetery. And it's revealed that all of the Soviet agents that were after her, most of them are gone, but she knows that more are just going to get sent. So she actually proposes the idea that Wolverine, if she's going to die, she wants to die in Wolverine's arms. So it shows him busting out the claws right here. But Wolverine says he hesitated. So when he cut her, he only cut her. He actually didn't kill her. So he goes to do the final cut, and Spider-Man shows up. This little pest won't go away. And he's like, "What are you doing, you psycho? You're about to kill her." He doesn't know what's going on, and Wolverine's trying to tell him, like, "You don't know what's going on here. Like, stay out of my business." So they get in a fight, and Spider-Man is still holding back. But he realizes he's going to get himself killed. Wolverine threatens to put his claws in his throat, and Spider-Man's senses are going off, saying that he legit might end up dying. So Spider-Man stops holding back, and he starts pummeling Wolverine, punches him, launches him into a grave, gets on him, is wailing on him. And then he makes a point to say that Wolverine just won't stop. Wolverine ends up getting on top of him, but as they're having that happen, a helicopter shows up. It's more agents arriving for Charlie or Charlemagne. So from behind, Wolverine comes and he grabs Spider-Man again. Spider-Man's like, he won't let up. He turns around, punches Wolverine with all his might. But the problem is, turns out it was not even Wolverine. It was Charlemagne. And it goes on to show that Spider-Man accidentally killed her. And he is devastated because this goes against his moral compass. In the rest of the comic, it shows Spider-Man going home, but that image in his head turning around, punching her, thinking it was Wolverine, punching her and killing her. It said that he was punching with the force of something that could destroy a car. And that image is in his head over and over and over and over and over. There it is again. And he's debating on just not even putting on the suit again. But it ends with Peter realizing that he has to confide in MJ to make the thoughts go away. So he embraces her. But Spider-Man was living with that regret. He accidentally murdered someone. Because at full force, Spider-Man can easily kill people with one hit. So, anyway, that was the comic. Shows a Boy Scout Spider-Man not being able to make up his mind, ending up accidentally murdering someone. And it shows Wolverine going berserker rage on a bunch of Soviets and enjoying it. But yeah, that was Spider-Man versus Wolverine. And I think that because Spider-Man is a Boy Scout, that's the only reason that it was even a close fight. If he was to just not hold back, I think he could easily kill Wolverine. But Wolverine doesn't have that same moral compass. So he's down to murder. So anyway, there's rumors that there might be a fight between Spider-Man and Wolverine during like Avengers Secret Wars, but we'll have to see. But this was the 2020 Visions podcast, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see y'all next week. Peace.